My name is Andria O'Donovan, Director of Safety First Training. What we're looking at is how to lift a load from the floor and put it back down on the floor again. The first thing to say about this lift is that it's not ideal. Lifting from the floor carries some hazards. The first being that the load is a long way away from you. You want to keep it close to the centre of your body. The second is that there's a lot of energy required to get yourself down and then lift the load up. And then finally, there is an increased risk of stooping, which we know is bad for your back. The ideal place to be lifting any load is at waist level. So if at all possible, always try and lift at waist level. So the first thing we should always ask ourselves whenever we're going to do any lift is, do we indeed have to do it at all? So if we could avoid it, that's the ideal thing to do. If we can't avoid it, then we've got to do an assessment. So we have to find out what is the weight of the load. So if we move the load, can we move it? If we can't move it, it's too heavy. The other thing we might do is actually tilt the load, because that gives us information about the weight, but also the balance of the load. We also need to look at the environment to make sure that there are no obstacles in the way, and of course don't forget your own capabilities as well. That's principle number one. We have 8 principles, so the second principle then is to get a broad, stable base. And the purpose of that broad base is so that we're balanced and stable when we're lifting. We then want to bend our knees, because they're the muscles that have all the power in them, keeping the back nice and straight and looking ahead. We get close to the load, we get our good grip, which is using the palms of our hand, and then moving slowly with our head looking ahead, we come up into an upright position. And then finally, we must move our feet in the direction that we want to go, because what we want to avoid is twisting the back. Coming back again, really reverse is really what we're doing. We're just going to get a broad base, we're going to keep the load close, we're going to have our back nice and straight, and we're going to bend our knees, keeping the load close, and we're going to just keep the grip and then lower it to the floor as we finish the lift. So in summary then, we're saying that lifting to and from the floor is not ideal. That if at all possible, always try and lift up at waist level. Before you go to do any lift at all, ask yourself, do you have to do it? If you do have to do it, make sure that you assess it so that it's within your capabilities. And finally, when you're actually carrying out the lift, always remember to use your 8 principles of lifting.